rent for 75% rent for the first month. Does everyone understand that, you guys? Okay. Next, my end goal is what? I don't want to keep maintain this partnership forever, right? I want to be able to own this home, right? That's my ultimate goal. So every month, I will be purchasing 1% of the home, for example. It's a hypothetical example, right? So in this case, 1% is whatever. That's probably not a good example here. 8,000 is a lot of money, but yeah, I'll be every month I'll be making 2 payments, 2 bank peso. One will be the first month is going to be based off of 75% rent, so I'm going to be making the payment of 75% rent, and let's make it a little bit easier. I'll be paying back 0.5% of the home. So now add that up, right? How many? Whatever, 200 months. That's a short term. But anyways, the numbers are not the point here, right? The numbers can be arbitrary. But I'll be buying back a set percentage of the home every month. Right? So what happens over time? Second month, what happens? My rent will go down. Why? I went from 75% to 74%. Right? And in the same way, I'll be purchasing back 1 share of the home. Right? So this amount and payment schedule will be decided in advance. Right? So what happens after, again, 30 years? We give the example of 30 years. What happens after 30 years? Right? So I've been making payments. Right? I'll be 99% owner of the home. He'll be 1% owner of the home. Right? My rent payment, what happens? Rent payment is almost 0. Right? But then I'm paying back that same amount. I'm purchasing that 1%. So at the end of 30 years, I become 100% owner of the home. Diminishing partnership. Right? His percentage of ownership goes down every single month. 75%, 74%, 73%, etc. Right? And because I'm using the home, I'm paying him rent over time. So hypothetically, just to make things simple, the end result, right? He gets $1 million over 30 years, right, with rent and purchases or purchasing the shares back. He makes $1 million, right? And I end up paying $1 million, and I get the home. Okay. Does everyone understand that model? So before we open up for more complicated questions related to this model, diminishing partnership, does anyone have a specific question on how diminishing partnerships work? Does everyone understand it, inshallah? Okay, so just making sure. Does everyone understand it, inshallah? Yes, brother.
So you're paying more, for example, from the first model you gave. So the second model is more expensive than.
No, brother. All these numbers are arbitrary, right? It's whatever is agreed upon. What percentage of rent am I paying? That's something the two of us can work out based on rent prices, based on the size of the home, etc., etc. Right? So don't pay attention to the numbers. The numbers can be whatever we agree on. Right? The main goal is to understand the theory and how the models work. So, okay, let me ask this question here. Can everyone clearly see that in the diminishing partnership, there is no loan? There's no riba. Right? We're joint owners of the home. There's no riba, there's no loan that's present here. Does everyone understand that? Okay. Any more questions before we go forward on how the diminishing partnership works? So as I said, this is, okay, yes, go ahead, brother.
What is the definition of riba?
Yeah. So brother, we've discussed that riba, al-fadlu khalin al-i'wad. Right? It's when you have excess of one commodity on one side without being exchanged for the other. So for example, 2 pounds of dates for 1 pound of date, there's an excess on one side that is not compensated for on the other side, so that 1 extra pound is riba. I borrowed $800,000 from him, I'm paying him back 1 million. There's an excess 200,000 that's not exchanged for anything, that's also considered riba.
Because I heard the riba, the definition of riba is the interest has to be known, the time has to be known, and for instance, if you take the money from like a chicken account or things, where there is no time and riba, because riba must know the time. In 10 years I have to pay this much with that interest, that's called the definition of riba. And there is no one of this missing
So, brother, the examples we're looking at here, there is riba because, so let's look at the example again. I borrowed 800,000 from him.
The bank is telling me for 30 years, 5% interest for 30 years.
Yeah.
But in 1 year, 2 years, I pay his money, I find from somewhere else, so the time is not fixed.
But brother, we're referring to something else, brother. The original transaction. So you're still referring to paying back early, right? You're referring to paying back early. Yeah. So the point, I'm talking about something else, brother. The original transaction that I made, right? When the two of us sat down, I borrowed $800,000 from him, and I agreed to pay back 1 million over 30 years, right? So I borrowed 800,000. I'm paying him back 1 million over 30 years. There's an extra 200,000. That transaction, by its very nature, is riba. Yes, it's a different matter if I decide to pay it back early, etc., etc. That's a separate point. But the transaction from the beginning has an element of riba in it, right? That's what we're looking at here. Okay. So does everyone? Yes, brother. So let's get to that. Let's get to that, brother. Okay. So we're still looking at theory, you guys here. So we'll open the floor. You can, inshallah, you guys don't worry. You can ask whatever question you want. But let's just focus on diminishing partnerships. Because if I can ensure everyone understands how a diminishing partnership works, really my job is done, alhamdulillah. Everything else is a bonus beyond that. Diminishing partnerships, you guys, does everyone understand how they work? There's a little bit more. There's a lot of paperwork as well. Every month there's a separate transaction that takes place, right? You're buying 1%, right? So there's a little bit more paperwork as well. And of course the rent aspect you have to consider as well. But in theory, does everyone understand how a diminishing partnership works? Right? You can say, yes, brother.
So in case of diminishing partnership,
Yes, brother.
every month, the percentage of ownership changes from time to time.
Yes.
Does rent also changes it?
Yes, brother. Of course.
And that, the rent every month when it changes, that also needs to be part of the contract?
Yes, sir. It's always going to be part of the contract. So what will happen, the home financing company will give you a detailed payment schedule for the next 30 years, right? And the exact numbers for your payment for every month and the exact how much is left and so on, everything is clear in front of you, right? Without that, the transaction would not be valid, right? So that's an essential requirement, right? Absolutely essential aspect of it, and that is made very clear.
That would be similar to the amortization.
Yes, exactly.
That's all written on your contract when you get it.
Yeah,
It's all written.
yeah, it's also all written, yes.
It's being agreed upon, right?
Yes.
And I'm just going to use an example because since we're talking about this, I'm not
Yes.
asking any example.
Yes, brother.
That, let's say, 60%, 75% is like $600,000.
Yes.
Is, that's a, I know he doesn't have that money, but anyway. But he put it in, right?
Okay.
So now he said, okay, upon that, you're saying, you're the buyer, right? You said, okay, I'll buy 1% from you every month.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Now, $600,000, 1%, we're just talking numbers, right?
Yeah.
$6,000.
Yeah.
Right? So, special Luna dictates, and wait a minute, I mean, I'm stuck with you 1% you're paying every month, well, I'm only getting my original money, and you're the one enjoying the fruits.
Yeah.
Right? You're living in the house.
Yes.
So they will make decision, you will make decision, say, okay, that you're gonna have to pay me this much with extra money? I mean, how does it work?
Yeah. So
That's the only point I'm not.
well, but brother, the point is, the numbers are not the focus here. So the two of them can agree to the market rate of rent, right? So like you said, the home. The fact of the matter is, I'm going to be living in the home for 30 years, right? And rent prices, depending on where you live. So we can use the rent prices as a benchmark. The numbers are not important because it's whatever the two of us agree upon. And if he wants to protect himself, he's going to say, look, why am I putting myself on risk? I want market rent. That's fine. Whatever numbers the two of them agree upon, that's up to the two of them. As long as the model is halal, right? Whatever the numbers are, don't matter, right? They can use, for example, so if they want to use the exact Fed rate for the charges, they can do that as well, The model is halal. Whatever amount they agree upon is arbitrary, right? It's irrelevant at that point. Yeah. Okay. Yes, brother. Abdullah. Yeah. Sorry, which organization? Abdullah Nana. Yes. PSS. I'm not sure, brother. Yeah, it's probably me. It's probably. Yes. UIF. Yes. Yes. Yes, brother. Yes. Yeah. Okay, brother. Yes, brother. Yes, brother. So, but that's an advanced question. So, if you, let me take it in the end. So, you're referring to in the scenario. So, the simple scenario is I stay in the home for 30 years, and I pay him back the whole amount. What if I sell in the middle, right? So, you're referring. So, there's going to be a discussion on the ratio and what will happen when I sell the home. Let me cover that in the end, inshallah. I will discuss that, inshallah. So, sorry, it doesn't matter on the what? So, we're not delving on the. Oh, so so the ratio. But as far as I know, there isn't a difference of opinion. Rent, if I'm renting a home, there's no minimum or maximum. Whatever amount the two of us agree on, the homeowner can charge whatever they want. As far as I know, there's the percentage doesn't matter either, and the amount doesn't matter either. Right? It's whatever the two of us mutually agree on. Any amount that we agree on will be halal, according to all the madhabs, because it's. But I'm not aware. So are you talking about rent, or are you talking about the sale of the home? So the sale of the home, yes, there's going to be some further discussions. So, but the rent charge can be whatever we agree on, right? So the only difference will be, take the example. If I'm 100% owner of the house and I rent it out to him, right? Whatever amount we agree on rent, there's no maximum minimum. Whatever we agree on will be fine, right? If he wants to rent his $1 million home to me for $1, and he agrees and I agree, that's halal. If he decides to rent his home for $100,000 a month, and I agree and I can afford it, right? That amount won't matter. That's assuming that the ownership is 100%. If the ownership is even 75%, same thing, right? So we're taking whatever we agree is the normal rent of the home. Now take 75% of that. We can agree to whatever amount we want, right? That's not going to. I don't know any difference in the madhabs on this. Yes, in selling the home, there's things it's a little bit different. Yeah. Okay. Yes, brother. So good question. So I'll clarify. Yes, brother. Yeah. So this is, you could say, this is the complexity of the diminishing partnership. In the installment sale, the numbers were very clear. Cash price was 800,000. Credit price was 1 million. Now, what happens with the diminishing partnership? We have to factor in rent. So there won't be one. So the answer is there's more detail. At the time the home is purchased, we will purchase the home at 800,000. Right? That's the market price of the home. That's the selling price. The two of us will jointly purchase that home for 800,000. But because the payment schedule involves rent, we can't really say the selling price of the home is 1 million. We can't say that because the purchase schedule will be different, 1% per month, and the rent percentage will be different. So the total price of the home, if you include the rent or you don't, you have to determine if you count the rent or you don't count the rent. So that payment schedule, right, that amortization, and that payment schedule, the percentage of rent and the percentage of purchasing back, that's going to be the true value of the home. Or, that's going to be the true payment made for the home, if you count in rent. Okay. Any more questions? Yes, brother. Yes. Yes, brother. That's a very good question. Okay, so I think, does everyone understand the diminishing partnership before we go forward? Right, so I'll give priority. If anyone has any questions on the diminishing partnership, we'll give them priority. So brother, you can say, yes, brother.
With the diminishing partnership, is there a separate contract for the payback and a separate contract
Yes.
for the
Rent. Yes, yes,
So
brother.
these are two different, are they combined together as one case?
So normally what happens, each month you get a set of paperwork, and in there you have the paperwork for buying back the home, and there's a separate rental, separate written agreement and purchase, and there's a separate agreement for rent. Yes. And when you sign as well, there's a lot of paperwork, but you have separate contracts for everything.
But the payment is combined.
Yes. Yeah, the payment is combined. Yeah. Yes, brother. So, brother, what happens in a diminishing partnership, you're locked into a set agreement. So that's what's going on. You're agreeing every month to buy back a percentage of the home, right? So if you, like the scenario where if you, I get the scenario, you receive $500,000 in inheritance, and you're now in a position to accelerate the payments or to buy back your entire share. Because you were locked into original agreement, that's the original agreement. Yes, if the company, it's their prerogative. If they agree to give you a discounted price and again sell back the remaining portion of the home, they can do so. Right? Yes, brother. Are you? What are you referring to by the Form A, brother? Which specific form? Disclosure. Yeah. So brother, I think what you're referring to is this as follows. We're living in America. Our tax system and our home financing paperwork is based on conventional mortgages. So when you look at the paperwork, even how it's recorded for tax purposes, the Islamic home financing is in the minority. So in the paperwork, you'll see that there are certain forms that are based on assuming that every single person is going to enter into a conventional mortgage. But the key here is looking at the actual structure here, right? There is no loan, right? The diminishing partnership you'll see in the paperwork, there is no loan. Some of the documentation for legal purposes will have to be signed, but at the time the transaction is done, right, you're referring to the disclosure part, but at the time the transaction is done, right, there will be a partnership, a legal partnership, and there'll be agreement to buy back sales of the home. And the terms of the buyback are there, everything is there. So in that aspect, the diminishing partnership will still be clear, right? It is not a conventional mortgage. Yeah. Okay.
Can the buyback be included in the agreement? Like rather than discussing it later, can it be part of the agreement?
It cannot, brother. If it's part of the contract, it'll be riba. Right? So this is the challenge. We leave it to the prerogative of the Islamic bank. The Islamic bank can choose. Right? Of course, they would prefer cash right now as well, but it's their prerogative because the agreement has to be decided in advance, and the agreement has to be based without interest. Right?
The Islamic bank say that if you pay a set amount, you get some discount. Like this.
They cannot, brother. So the issue is if they do so, then they're entering into riba. That's the problem, especially with the murabaha. With installment sales, if you clearly tell people, if you pay back $100,000, $1 million over 30 years, that's fine. If you pay back 900,000 over 25 years, that's also fine, right? The entire transaction will be invalid, right? Because it's not fixed. The whole thing has to be fixed in advance. So the exact amount, you have a choice entering into it. The exact amount and payment schedule has to be fixed. Later on, if the two parties wish to negotiate and they wish to agree to a discount, that's up to them. Yeah. So, but what you can do then I'm mentioning 30 years just by way of example. You can do 5 years if you want, right? So the term period is also arbitrary. The amount is also arbitrary. If you are in a position, right, your cash flow, your earnings are such, you feel you can make the payments within 5 years, then get a discounted rate right from the get-go, right? Why agree to 30 years then? Yeah. No, but what I'm saying is, that why complicate things? Then your term period, right? You should get a discount from your original transaction. So let me the example. The whole value of the home is 800,000, right? If I make the agreement with the bank to pay over 30 years, the total amount I'm going to pay back is going to be much more. If I agree to 5 years, automatically, right, the payback, because there's a shorter period of time, the bank is going to give me a discount already. So the point is, why agree? If you have the financial ability to pay back in 5 years instead of 30, then make your agreement on 5 years. Right? And then you'll get that discount automatically, right? The home finance company will make the price less for you because you're paying them back in a shorter period of time. So, brother, it won't. That's the key here. So, what Islamic law wants is that at the time of the transaction, everything is crystal clear, right? So, otherwise there'll be misunderstandings, right? There'll be misunderstandings. So, I'll say I did 25 years, and now we had an understanding that I would get a discount. Afterwards, let's say the bank says, no, there was no understanding. So that's why everything must be written clear, and the exact term, the number of years, the payment amount, everything must be fixed in advance, right? It's to avoid problems later on. Yeah. Okay. Yes, brother. I'm sorry? Yes. 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 Yeah. So, Brother Anwar? Yeah. Yeah. So 1099, do the Islamic home finance companies also offer 1099s? 1098. Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. So yeah, inshallah, you can take advantage of the tax benefits of taking out a Islamic home financing loan, and they will treat it like even though we know it's not a conventional mortgage, they will treat it like a conventional mortgage, and they'll give you the tax benefits as well. Yeah. Yes, brother. Yes, brother. Okay. So now, so just to give some disclaimer. So, okay. So inshallah, just to give some disclaimers here. So inshallah, I will take questions even after Isha because time is also limited. So inshallah, I'll be around. Inshallah, whoever needs to leave can leave. But inshallah, I will do my best to answer the questions. We have Brother Anwar here as well, who knows more about how the model works. So let me answer some of the FAQs, inshallah, before I go forward. So, okay. A few FAQs. Hopefully this will answer. Give me 3 minutes. Hopefully this is going to answer some of the common questions that are asked. Okay, so now, $1 million question, you guys. Financing. These Islamic finance companies, where do they get the money from? Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, do they take out loans as well? So, let's answer that first, right? This is a very common question. So, number one, Islamic finance in America is not perfect. Just like Islamic finance in America is not perfect. Just like the halal industry is not perfect, right? Halal industry, we eat chickens that are fed bones and ground up chickens. We eat chickens that are sometimes fed pork. We eat a lot of unhealthy things. So in the same way, Islamic finance, right, it's not a perfect model. If you're going to be selling 10,000 homes in a year, you need billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. So the key which the scholars will have to look at is, are the basic halal requirements met? Right? So there's the ideal and there's the basic halal requirements. For example, a cow walks in right now to this, it's limping, it has diseases. It's clearly, you look at it, man, I would not touch it, I would not eat it. If Brother Saeed takes it, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, slaughters it, is it halal for us to eat or not, brother? Technically it's halal. Is it healthy for you to eat or not? That's a different matter. In the same way, when we're discussing Islamic finance in America, it's not perfect. I'm not here to tell you it's perfect. Yes, almost every single Islamic home financing company in America gets its money from Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. It's a reality. Right? I'm not here to hide that. I'm not here to tell you that it's ideal. I don't like it. But my point is the basic halal requirements, the transaction between myself and Faisal Bank, the way it was set up, right? It was, in the first case, it was installment sale. Second case, it was a diminishing partnership. The key is the transaction between me and Bank Faisal. That is the key. That is what I can control. Where Faisal is getting his financing from, right? I can't control Faisal, right? I don't have jurisdiction over Faisal, where he's going to get his loans out from, where he's getting money from. I don't have control over that. Right? So yes, in that, and remember here, you guys, this whole discussion, it's a personal level of taqwa. If you're comfortable with something, that's fine. If you're not comfortable with it, no problem. Don't rent if you want, or whatever, do whatever else you want. Right? I'm not here to force anyone. Right? So my job is just do my best to explain the basic halal requirements. And yes, if something's imperfect, I'll tell you it's imperfect. Right? There's a lot of improvements that have to be made, but my goal is at least to explain that basic halal level. Right? That basic halal level. Right? It might not be the best thing out there, but if it meets the basic halal requirements, right, I'm putting my neck on the line. I have to answer regarding it on the day of judgment. So it's my job to point out what meets the basic halal requirements. Right? So, like I said, the financing part, most Islamic home financing companies in America, they do have a working relationship with Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. And after I buy the home from Faisal will turn around and sell it to Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. That's what normally happens. Yeah. Okay, let me take a question from him. Yes, brother. Yes, brother. Yes, brother.
So obviously you should like have like the proper like means to like get, you know, the fatwa that you need. But if how do you reconciliate when you have like, I think there's a lot of confusion in the ummah right now too, is it's like there's like fatwa on like student loans, you know, and then like there's like fatwa on that, and saying like getting a conventional student loan is also like permissible. And then you also have like prominent scholars like Sheikh Yusuf al-Qardawi, who recently passed away. He approved of a conventional mortgage, right? So then you have things like that. So that there's obviously like these like difference of opinions between the ulama as well. So like, you know, there's something like.
So I agree, brother. There's. Yes, I do. So, no, keep that. I forgot. Yeah. So, brother, the brother's question is: we have a lot of different fatwas. We have people who say there's no riba in America. Riba is all halal in America. There are people who say conventional loans. There are certain scholars who say conventional mortgages are halal. So we do have different opinions out there, right? That's there. Each person will pick that mufti or person that you trust, follow them consistently to the end, right? That's our job. What the scholars generally say, the verses of the Holy Quran, فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا فَأْذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. Right? That riba as a whole, by default, riba is unlawful and haram. Right? This is whatever case, whether you live in America, whether you're living in Egypt or India or Pakistan, right? By default, riba is haram and unlawful. Right? So that's the starting point that we're coming from. So when it comes to America, when halal options do exist, why not take the halal option? This is my point here. Right? There might be, some people might disagree, is Bank of America halal or not? Conventional loans, are they halal or not? Right? We're trying to go with the safest option here. Right? And by default, riba is not permissible in light of the Quran and Hadith. Yes, brother. Okay, yes, go ahead, brother.
I have two parts. I just want to know your opinion. This has got nothing to do with the bank.
Yes, brother.
People who work for the bank.
Yes,
Since you have, people say don't work for the bank. You're not doing a halal job.
Yes, brother.
Even though I'm putting my 10 hours, I'm doing my hardest.
Yes, brother.
That's much. That this is separate from my. I just want to get your
Yes,
opinion.
brother.
Second question was, as the gentleman said, 1098. 1098 is marked as an interest.
Yes.
So I am claiming interest.
Yes.
That's a very conflicting.
It is. So this is why the things are confusing. So let me ask this. The first one, brother. So the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has discussed riba in detail. We're talking about 20 or 30 hadith, right? We're talking about 20 or 30 hadith on riba. So as a result, the most muftis who I've seen, they do not allow Muslims to work at banks because the majority of the income from the bank comes from loans, right? So the person working there, their income is coming from riba, right? So that's why we discourage it. Do your best, look for another job, and yeah. So that's what we encourage, and that's a general fatwa. Second point that you made here, brother. Again, the problem is our tax system, as of now, is not familiar with interest-free financing. They're not familiar with diminishing partnerships, nor they're familiar with installment sales. So the problem is, whenever you file the 1098, as you point out, in terms of the paperwork, when we acknowledge our payments and our payment schedule, the way it's going to be recorded is the word interest is used. Respected friends, just because the word interest is used doesn't make it interest. What makes it interest is the structure of the transaction. As long as the structure of the transaction is fine, right, calling it interest doesn't make it interest. It's not, the name doesn't matter. So remember the earlier example I gave of the installment sale. Although they look the same, that extra 200,000 in the installment sale that I was paying back, from a legal financial perspective, conventional financial perspective, the extra $200,000 that I pay back will be categorized as interest from all your secular Western terms. But from Islamic law, it's not called interest, it's called profit. So as long as if Islamic law considers it to be profit, for legal purposes, for tax purposes, if you have to record it using the word interest, that's not going to make it haram. Is that clear, you guys? Yeah. Okay, brother. So let me take it. Okay, brother didn't ask. Okay, go ahead, brother. Yes, brother. Yes. Yes, brother. Yes, brother. MashaAllah. Yes. Yes. So, brother, we'd have to ask them. I'm not sure where exactly they keep the capital. Okay. Good, brother. No. So brother, give your information. I don't know the. Okay, we'll find out, inshallah. Yeah. Inshallah. Yes, brother. Okay, so if anyone needs to make wudu, inshallah, so we'll continue after Isha. Yeah.
Can we tell them we're going to have the same session after you're available, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. One announcement, brothers. Nobody should leave from here with a confusion or with their questions not answered. Some of you are asking like as if there's a rush right now. There's no rush. We're going to pray Isha. We're going to have this table just like this, and we're going to continue with this until you are satisfied. Okay, inshallah, because his perspective, he's not bringing out from his pocket. It's coming from the Sharia and the Deen, inshallah. So he's going to continue. We thank him for giving us his time. Please stay after Isha, and we're going to continue our question and answer right after the sunnahs, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. We're going to stop for Isha.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله له الهدي والصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
استقيموا واعتدلوا. Please make sure the heels on the line. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. والسماء والطارق وما أدراك ما الطارق النجم الثاقب إن كل نفس لما عليها حافظ فلينظر الإنسان مما خلق من ماء دافق يخرج من بين الصلب والترائب إنه على رجعه لقادر يوم تبنى السرائر فما له من قوة ولا ناصر والسماء ذات الرجع والأرض ذات الصدع إنه لقول فصل وما هو بالهزل إنهم يكيدون كيدا وأكيد كيدا فمهل الكافرين أمهلهم رويدا. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر ليلة القدر خير من 1000 شهر تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الله أكبر. استغفر الله استغفر الله استغفر الله استغفر الله. اللهم أنت السلام منك السلام تبارك يا ذا الجلال. ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. استغفر الله استغفر الله استغفر الله الذي لا والحي القيوم وتوب إليه. استغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I'd just like to thank our guest, Mufti Abdullah, who is here tonight, as well as Brother Anwar from UIF. We're going to continue our interesting discussion, inshallah, after the remaining sunnah. We're going to continue with the Q&A. Brother Anwar is also here representing UIF. He's one of the main brothers there, and he's going to be discussing more questions. I mean, any of your questions that you have, he'll be answering them, inshallah. So please stay with us after the remaining salah, and we will continue. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I'd like to request everyone to please come closer. We're going to continue with our Q&A. And one of the reasons for coming closer is so that you don't have to shout your questions from the back. Right? That's not the etiquette, inshallah. Please come closer once you're done. We're going to start in a minute. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So I'm just going to start off with one quick comment, and that is that, first of all, I don't ever share this because I don't like to mix my masjid with business or anything like that. Alhamdulillah, I'm a real estate agent as well. I buy and sell homes for a while now. I bought a home with UIF, and you know how everybody's saying it's so expensive and it's such a big difference. At the time when the interest rate was 2.7%, the banks were giving UIF, I have an interest rate of 3%. So 0.3%, which is basically a couple of dollars in that sense. So that whole thing that it's way more and it's too expensive, it's just out there. It's here and say. If you actually get a house with UIF or you go with any Islamic financing, it's not like that. If it was like that, if it was that much of a difference, I don't think Islamic finance would exist anymore. It's thriving around the world. So that's one comment. The other thing is, again, like Mufti Sahib said, the meat example. People want to buy the chicken that's cheap and not the actual, legit, I mean, not blaming anybody here, and they're saying it's the same thing. It's a world of difference. We can give a 30-minute talk on how much difference there is in the hand slaughtered compared to the machine, although there's opinions. Mufti Sahib knows best. Of course, he's coming from Hafsa. So there's no need to try to, are we really, what's the concern for us? Is it to save a couple of dollars? Or is it to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and save ourselves from riba? That's my comment I wanted to make, inshallah. Anybody here can add to that or ask questions. I just wanted to start that off. Jazakallah khair. No, 0.3.
0.3. So the entire contract. So brother, his point is, right? As Muslims, when we purchase a home with Islamic financing, there is incremental costs. It's going to be a little bit more expensive, right? This is the point. No, he's referring to the general rates, right? Exactly. So the point, okay, so let me go back a bit. So the point is, yeah.
This is highly disrespectful that people ask questions after the entire thing was explained. If anybody asks questions what we talked about for the last hour and a half, I think it's very... Mufti Sahib explained for the last hour and a half. So please, have some respect and ask, has this been discussed or not?
Okay. Yes. No, inshallah, so, but no issues, inshallah. So the issue is this, brother. As you were pointing out, when the average person compares Islamic home financing, what is the benchmark? What do they compare it to? They compare it to Bank of America, Chase, etc., right? That's what we're looking at. So the point is, many Muslims have the concern, why are we paying more for Islamic home financing? It should be cheaper, it should be the same price. This is the common question that's asked. So the point that we're making here is, like you just said, I believe the brother just said, one is halal, one is haram, right? How can we even compare the two? As Muslims, when it comes to halal food, when it comes to other aspects, we should be willing to pay a little bit more to ensure that our religious requirements are met. And let me just give examples. Look, we're sitting here, let's keep it real here, you guys. We're in California, right? How many of you guys have a $1,000 iPhone here? Let's be honest here, you guys. Right? How many of you guys have a $1,000 iPhone here? Right? Why aren't we buying a cheap $200 phone? Right? Motorola does the job. We're willing to pay more. Why? Value added. Right? We get something. Yeah, we can see the Apple logo there too. We can show that off. But we're paying more on a daily basis in our life. We pay more for quality. Honda or Hyundai. Right? Everyone knows the difference. Honda or Hyundai. Right? When we buy things, look at our cars, mashallah. Walk up in our parking lot here, bro. Mashallah. Mashallah to all of you guys, mashallah. Right? If we walk in our parking lot, mashallah, we have nice There's a big difference between Tesla, there's a big difference between a Nissan Leaf, right? When it comes to halal, as Muslims, right? This is our religion here. It's not about a quality, a logo or something. It's about a religion. If one is halal, one is haram, one is riba, one is interest, even if, argument's sake, if it's $500,000 more, right? We should be willing to pay that, right? It's about our hereafter. It's about preserving our religion. It's about eating halal. It's about avoiding sin and the harms of riba. So the point the Shaykh is making here, it's going to be an incremental cost. The way Islamic home financing works, there's more paperwork involved. The conventional system, conventional loans, the whole model is set up to cater to the conventional loans and their paperwork. When the Islamic process, there's extra steps involved, right? The bank has to buy the home. There's going to be certain costs. There will be extra costs involved with the Islamic home financing process. But as the Shaykh pointed out, alhamdulillah, Allah Ta'ala did not test us by making it $1 million more. It's an incremental cost, right? You can get the exact quotes, inshallah. I'm not here to sell you guys anything. It's an incremental cost, and it will work out to a few percentage points, right? So we're not talking about a big difference of 5% and 15% or so on, or $500,000. It is an incremental cost, and feel free to get a quote, right? Whenever people ask me, I tell them, they're telling me, I'm about to buy a home tomorrow with Bank of America. I tell them, look, just make a phone call, talk to the Islamic home financing company, and get a quote. That's all. Just get a quote. If you like it, go with it. If you don't like it, right, I can't force you. Right? So this is an important aspect to discuss here, specifically about the pricing. Right. Yes, brother. Yeah. Yes. But brother, again, I'll give you the parallels, but the same thing with halal meat, brother. Look, we make decisions. Take a look at organic. Like, how many of you guys buy organic milk or organic products from Whole Foods or from Safeway? Okay, you guys don't have Safeway, you guys have, I think, Ralph's, right? How many of you guys buy organic products here? Let's keep it, right? So why are we buying organic products, right? Why are we buying the cheap thing off, why are we buying regular eggs or regular milk? So we understand the value of that, brother. This is the point here. We understand the value of that. We'll be willing to, if it means working a few extra hours as men, we'll man up, right? I do this, I try to buy organic milk every single time for my children because I know the difference between organic milk and regular milk. It's double the cost sometimes. Really, it's double the cost sometimes. So the point is value added as Muslims. This is our test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Buying halal food, look, we can do the same thing. So how many, if we just go out and go to Ralph's and buy our meat here, we'll be saving hundreds of dollars a month, right? Yeah. So, brother, that's one of the goals. So, to be fair, brother, that's our conversation here is about halal haram. It's not necessarily about customer service. It's not necessarily about other things. Our job here is to discuss what are the halal options for the community and what are the haram options for the community. Beyond that, inshallah, we can work as a community. We need more reliable options, and inshallah, we need to work towards more solutions, right? But remember, the scope of this lecture here is simply to explain what are the halal options, right? That's our primary objective. So the brother had a question. Let me just follow up with the question. Brother had a question. He wanted to understand how riba works, and he wanted to understand the wisdom behind riba. Right? So let me ask, this is a separate question. So the brother had a specific question. He asked inshallah, before Isha, and I didn't get a chance to answer. So his question was, where's the third bottle? Okay, I'll just take a bottle. Okay. So his question was specifically an example of those 6 things. When bartering is going on, and you have salt or you have dates on both sides, his question was, what is the wisdom? Why did the Prophet Muhammad state that when dates are sold, the amount has to be the same on both sides, right? This was the essence of his question. So you could say, we don't know for sure. This is the wisdom of the Prophet Muhammad, but it seems like This was in the spirit of equity and fairness. Equity and fairness, ensuring that one person is not taking advantage of the other. Right? So we can't always determine the quality of something. So to ensure that fairness is taking place, the amount must be the same. Right? The amount is same on both sides. So this is the best way to ensure that there's going to be equity, one person is not being cheated. Right? Because if the amount is unequal, then clearly one person is able to take advantage, the other person is going to be at a disadvantage. And quality, not everyone can tell quality. Right? The average person can't necessarily tell difference between organic medjool or regular medjool. Right? Sometimes just looking at it, you can't tell. So that's why the amount has to be the same on both sides. Yeah, that's one reason for it. Okay. Well, let's give priority to the people who haven't had questions yet, inshallah. Anyone who hasn't not asked a question, who has a question, inshallah? Okay. Yes, brother. Yes, brother. So, brother, we discussed this before Isha. Okay, so let me reiterate. Number one, brother, right? I don't work for, I don't sell homes, right? And I am not an employee at one of these companies. So just to give a disclaimer. So let me just give you, clarify, yes. So the issue here is, brother, I mentioned this before Isha, but I'll mention it once more. The way Islamic finance is set up in America right now, right, it is imperfect. There are flaws and deficiencies, right? And I'm openly accepting that. And it is, alhamdulillah. But brother, they're 30 or 40 years ahead of us. The brother that came from the UAE, I didn't get a chance to mention this. We are, in terms of Islamic finance, we are 30 to 40 years behind UAE, Middle East, Malaysia, and Indonesia. Yeah. So, and the point, brother, in America, when you talk about Islamic finance, all Islamic finance means is home financing. That's not the case. You go to UAE, you go to Malaysia, Indonesia, you have Islamic finance means you have halal debit cards, you have Islamic insurance, you have investing options, you have stocks, you have much more. So yes, as of now in America, as of right now, most of the Islamic home financing companies, in the back end, they get money from interest, and they also sell your home financing contract to Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. So this is a reality. But as I mentioned to the brothers before Salatul Isha, that the basic requirements for the transaction to be valid are between myself and the bank, right? I look at the contract, I look at the agreement. My job is to ensure that contract is proper halal. What the Islamic finance company does in the back end, I cannot control that. I'm not responsible for that. So it's not ideal. I agree with you, brother. I'll be the first person to say all Islamic finance companies in America should ensure all their money comes from halal sources. I agree with that, brother. And I agree they should not be selling our loans to Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. Right? I'm making an open announcement. At the same time, the job of the scholars and muftis is to determine if the basic halal requirements are met. And I gave them an example. If a sick cow walks in right now, limping, and you could tell there's disease on it, right? And if it walks in, now I say Bismillah Allahu Akbar, I slaughter it. Is it halal to eat or not? Technically, as long as I fulfill the requirement, it's halal. Is it healthy to eat? No. Right? I would not eat it myself. I would not give it to anyone else. In the same way with Islamic finance, there's the basic halal requirements and there's the ideal. Right? There's the ideal. So, if Islamic home financing company is receiving money in the back end from interest sources, or they're giving your loan to Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, that is not good, but as long as the transaction between you and them is halal, the transaction will also be considered to be halal. Right? That's something. But brother, the issue is that, so let me follow up with them, brother. So the issue is, we are responsible for the transactions we conduct with another person. We can't control, right, what the bank is doing in the back end. We do not see it. We are not responsible for it. So this is why, to make things easy for the people, we focus on the contract between the customer and the company. Okay, brother. Insurance. So the home insurance costs? Okay, but Anwar, would you know? The same thing, yeah. So yeah, most conventional banks will require home insurance, and the Islamic home companies require home insurance as well. But you can choose, right? Is that correct? You can choose whichever company you. Yeah.
On the regular loan also, the interest you take account of your income at the end of the year.
Yes. Yes. 1089. 1089. Okay. So, brother, before I go forward, let me just mention something as well. So remember our objective here. Brother, I'm not here to force anyone to buy your homes with any specific company. That's not my objective, you guys. So this is for educational purposes. You're free. If you're not comfortable with it and you're not okay with it. Right? Yes, yes. Agree. But I'm just making it very clear, brother. I'm not here to force my opinions on anyone. Yes, brother.
I have had 10 ml water of milk, 10
Yeah.
milk. And there's other pot has 100 gallon milk.
Yeah.
I put one drop of urine in 10 ml, or 1 drop of urine in the tons of milk. Both are bad, right?
Yeah.
No?
There's a difference, brother. There's a difference. There's a difference because the amount, depending on the amount, yes. So, for example, let's say, yeah, there's a difference.
So little amount of urine is fine, but not the
Yes.
whole. Okay. So you know that there's a urine in both, same thing that like talking about financing, Islamic financing, it has riba in it.
So, to be fair, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Because of money that coming from selling it.
Yeah. So, brother, to be fair, okay. So, let me answer that. We're living in an era. Look, you have how many of you guys have credit cards? Right? We're living in an era. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ has predicted. A time will come, riba will touch everything around us. Riba will be in everything. Every single transaction you see, there'll be riba. Right? So we're engaging in transactions. We go to the store. The store itself doesn't own any of the items there. They buy them on whatever layaway. They're going to pay the money later on, right? So even the dollars, the money that we have, this $20 was used for riba at some point. So the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ predicted that a time will come, the bukhar, the smoke of riba will affect every single person. But at the same time, every single one of us have a choice on a day-to-day basis. Do I get a savings account or do I get a checking account? We have some control. One is indirectly being involved in riba, one is directly being involved in riba. So let's understand the difference here, right? Like I said, was this $20 used to be sold to someone for riba or lent out to someone for riba? I can't control that. But right now, so let me clarify the point, brother. Let me clarify the point. Direct versus indirect, right? Direct versus indirect, right? Indirect, maybe 20 years ago, this $20 was used to finance a riba transaction. Yes, it's possible. But right now, I have a choice. If a brother wants to borrow money from me, I have a choice. You borrow this $20, you pay me back 22, or you buy this $20 and you can pay me back 20 whenever you want. I have a choice. What we're discussing right now is what you have a choice in. And when it comes to buying a home, we have a choice. Do we do an interest-based conventional mortgage, or do we choose Islamic home financing and the various options which are out there? We have a choice. Right? We have a choice. And as scholars and as imams, we recommend when we have a choice, we avoid riba, we avoid interest, and we choose the halal options. This is what we're discussing here. Yeah. Yes, brother.
Sheikh, I have a two-point question. The first point is, what do you recommend for people? Like, should we get into buying homes and building that equity here because we can live here, but we cannot escape from riba? But we can rent.
Yes.
We can rent and we can stay there comfortably, but we won't pay anything.
Yes.
Number two is, how much as a layman, from the Islamic point of view, should I be concerned about what the contract tells me? Like, I cannot understand the nuts and bolts of the contract, but should it be fine if I can find a sheikh who has given a fatwa that this is fine? So how much would be on my part to make sure that I am
Yeah.
dealing with a halal transaction?
Yes. Okay. So the answer to your first question, the first question is, as the average person, to what extent should I be involved in a long-term loan? Should I rent, right? Should I be entering into these long-term contracts? So, brother, that's an individual decision. Everyone's financial situation is different. Yes. Is the person ready to work for the next 30 years? Do they think they can make their regular payments on time? Right? That's something every person knows their financial situation. They know their job stability. Right? They have an idea. Right? And yes, it's a long-term commitment. We're talking about 25 or 30 years. Sometimes we don't know if we're going to be around for that long. But that's something that's a decision the person has to make. Inshallah, they can consult their family, they can consult people. But my job today is simply to point out what are halal options to buy homes with. Right? That is my role. And yes, today we're sitting in a masjid. Right? I'm not here to specifically tell you XYZ companies, XYZ companies. There's about 10 to 15 Islamic home financing companies. Right? Some of them have scholars behind them. Some of them don't. Right? I am on the board of certain companies. But the point is, we do our best. As an individual, we do our homework. Right? It's a big commitment. Buying a home it's a big deal. We should do our research. And the way it works, if a scholar has endorsed that model, for example, Mufti Usmani endorses guidance. Right? I'm putting that out there. He's probably the top Islamic finance scholar in the world. He endorses guidance residential. Right? Now, what that means is, as the regular person, a person like Mufti Usmani has vouched for guidance. He's taken that responsibility. Right? We might not be able to read all the contracts and paperwork, but if we trust Mufti Usmani, then go and buy your home. He's taken that responsibility from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a big responsibility. Right? So do your research. Find out, there's 10 different companies out there. Get a quote from them. Ask them, who are your Sharia advisors? Who are the scholars who endorse your product? And then from there we can make a decision. Do we trust them or not? Are we okay with it or not? That's our own personal decision. Yes, brother. No. No. So, yeah. 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 So, a good point, brother. So one, keep in mind, there's a difference between situations of necessity, and there's a difference between the model itself being halal. Right? So, if a scholar is endorsing a model, what they're saying is this model is halal for your first home, for your second home, for your third home, for your fourth home. Inshallah, may Allah bless all of you. Inshallah, give you guys all 5 homes, inshallah. But the point is, if the model is halal and the scholars are endorsing it, they're endorsing it on a general basis. Yes, the situation you're asking about is different, where some scholars have said it's permissible, for example, the first home, or on the basis of necessity, you can take a conventional mortgage. They put conditions, because what they're doing is they're basing it off necessity. But the difference is, these home financing models, they're based on the model being halal. They're not based on necessity. They're based on the very model itself being halal. If the model is halal, you can use the model for commercial financing, you can use the model for 10 homes, you can use it for whatever purposes you wish. And people, from what I understand, I've talked to Mufti Usmani about guidance. I've had a man-to-man direct conversation with him. And when he's endorsing it, he's not endorsing on the hajjah. Right? Inshallah, we can ask him directly. He's not endorsing on the hajjah. He's saying this model is halal for Muslims to use however they want. Right? That's his understanding. For the scholars who endorse UIF, same thing. They're endorsing it on a blanket state, on a general basis. You can use it for whatever purposes you wish. Yes, at the same time, the discretion should be from the person. Don't take out 10 homes if you can't afford those payments. Right? Don't take them out. Yes. Yeah. They won't make them batil. So, but this is where it comes. There's people in the field. Again, Mufti Usmani, bro, I sat with him in Madinatul Munawwara. I had concerns about guidance. This was about 10 years ago. I talked to him directly. I said, Hazrat, these are my concerns. You know what he told me? This is what he told me point blank. He said, look, have you read the 215-page contract of guidance in Arabic? I said, Sheikh, what do you mean? The one I've seen is a 20-page one in English. He's like, you haven't seen the long form. And pretty much what he told me is, look, I put my name behind it. So understand what's going on here, like the brother asked earlier. There are judgment calls involved, and yes, there are some questionable elements of all the home financing models in America. Every single one of them has some questionable elements. Now, to determine if the questionable element invalidates the whole thing, or is it just not ideal, that's the job of those expert scholars and the scholars who have studied, looked at the paperwork. The average person has not seen the 200 pages of documents that UIF has, for example. The average person has not seen the 200-page document which Mufti Usmani is referring to here. Right? Mufti Usmani is the world expert in Islamic finance. He's probably the top Mufti in the world today. He serves on the AOFI board, which is the gold standard for Islamic finance. You can look him up online. 500 most influential Muslims in the world. Right? Mufti Usmani is there. That too, yes. So brother, okay, so your point, to be fair, brother, to be fair, all the home financing companies in America have to meet two requirements. They have to meet, number one is a legal requirement. To operate in America, like you said, they have to meet certain legal requirements. But the Islamic environment is different, requirements are different from that. Like the brother was just asking, is a transaction valid or invalid? What about those questionable aspects? So the questionable aspects, brother, they are there. The scholars will put their name behind it, and they'll say, look, based on our analysis, like I said earlier, the basic requirements, there are some problematic aspects here. But we have determined that the basic requirements are met, and now we're willing to put our name behind it, and we're willing to tell the whole world it's halal. So they're taking that serious responsibility, and they're willing to do that. At the same time, every single individual customer, it's your judgment call, right? I can tell you, for example, XYZ chicken is halal. It might not be healthy. It might not be vegetarian fed. It might not be it might be industrial chicken, etc., etc. Right? But it's your judgment call. If you feel it's not healthy and if it's not the right thing for you, right? Scholars might tell you it's halal. If you're not okay with it, then don't eat it, right? So there's two separate responsibilities here. One is the responsibility of the customer. One is the responsibility of the scholars. If the scholars put their name behind it, then they've done their part. It's up to the public if you accept it or not. And remember, you guys, I'm not here to sell you guys anything. Again, I want to make that very clear. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to discuss theory, and I'm here to discuss what meets the halal requirements or not. Yes, brother. Excellent question. So, brother, excellent question. I would say the diminishing partnership model that we discussed, it took 2 years to develop. And Mufti Usmani himself developed it over the period of 2 years. He was involved step by step with developing it. Today, that diminishing partnership model that he developed is pretty much used by UIF and guidance both. Right? The documentation, the paperwork is almost exactly the same. So that's a model. If you know Mufti Usmani, I'm a nobody, bro. Honestly, I'm a nobody. Mufti Usmani, he has put his name behind these models. Right? So another way, anyone who has any objections, Mufti Usmani, you can look him up. You can look him up on in the internet. You can look him up on the social media. Right? He's the one that's developed the diminishing partnership model. Right? He fine-tuned it. He signed off on it. Right? It's his baby, really. Right? Sorry? No, the first place in the world where the diminishing partnership was developed was here in America. Then they took it now they've taken it to the other parts of the world, but it was developed here under the model of guidance. So that's one model. If the person, I would say both the first model that I described, the installment sale, murabaha, and the diminishing partnership, they're equally halal. Beyond that, it's personal preference. I see the advantages with the installment sale. It's a one-time transaction, you're done, right? You sign off, you agree to the payments for 30 years. You don't have to deal with other paperwork after that, right? And you're the owner from that day. You're the owner, right? With the diminishing partnership, there's more paperwork. It is a little bit more complicated. But after that, it's just preference. So I would say do your research on both. See which model works better with you. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It would not. Yeah, it would not matter. And to be fair, for the record, there is a move here, you guys. So everyone who's asking about the source of funds, right? So everyone who's asking about the source of funds, the home financing companies in America, the Islamic home financing companies, recognize the concern. And they are taking steps because they want to address the concerns of the community. So for example, they are now offering investment funds where we as the community can fund the murabaha and the contracts for each other. So the way it would work, the home finance company would say, you invest $100,000 with us, we will turn around and use your money to sell homes to the community. And by using your money, whatever profit we make, we will give you a profit. So in this way, it's a win-win situation. You can get a halal profit from this as well, and you can help your Muslim brothers and help them, brothers and sisters, to buy homes. So there is a move towards that. UIF has recently introduced this investment option just a few months ago. Yeah. Yes, brother? So, brother, you're asking a lot of questions. With all due respect, brother, I'm asking you. You're asking a lot of questions. I'm not here to, brother, let me finish. No. Brother, I'm not here to convince you, brother. You keep trying to argue with me, brother. You keep trying to argue with me. You've asked many questions for the last time. I'm not here to convince you. If you don't agree, brother, then fine, brother. Because you're causing confusion to everyone else, brother. You're causing confusion to everyone else. But I'm not here to force you, brother. I'm not here to force you. If you don't agree with me, brother, it's fine. You don't have to agree with me, brother. You're arguing with me. Right now, you're arguing with me, brother. Let other people ask questions. If you don't agree with this, brother, no one's here to force you. Which scenario are you referring to? Are you referring to the diminishing partnership, or are you referring to the installment sale? Yeah. In the installment sale, the difference is, at the time that the transaction was made, you become 100% owner. At the time you sell the home, you will bear 100% profit and 100% loss. Because the transaction is done. Installment sale, the transaction is done. Yes, you have a loan, you have an outstanding payment to make to the company. That's what you agreed on. Do this with Best Buy, the same thing happens with Best Buy too. Right? So if you... But you have to understand, you're not understanding the nature of the two transactions. Let me repeat that, brother. So this is a concern many people have about the home being sold. So let me clarify. Okay. Yes, brother. Yes. Yes, brother.
You know, one thing is like, he buys and sells cars. He goes to auction.
Yes, brother.
And I said, hey, what's your name? Brother Ahmad, I need a car. He goes, sure, no problem, right? He tells me what I'm going to be buying it for, but when I'm going to sell you, I want to make money.
Yes.
Pay auction fee,
Yes, brother.
whatever, and I'm running my home.
Yes, brother.
Right? So I'm like, sure, I agree. Now he said, okay, give you 5 months to pay, right? But he's selling me for that profit already.
Yes.
So that's what I'm understanding on a
Yes.
easier scale of this financing.
Yes. Yeah, that's...
Same thing it applies when if I lost the car,
Yeah.
right, or whatever happened to it. Now why does he have to take that loss also?
Yeah.
It's my loss, right? So I have to pay him the entire thing. And I think that's what the point you're trying to
Yeah.
make.
Yeah.
Because I had that question.
Yeah.
You made it clear.
Yeah. So let me clarify that. So this is a valid point. FAQs, this is one of the common things. When I sell my home with the installment sale, what happens? And when I decide to sell my home with the diminishing partnership, what happens? So understand the two transactions are different. And the end result is going to be different because the nature of the transaction is different. Right? So the point is, I'll just repeat it for the installment sale again. what you're agreeing to in the installment sale is, at the time the transaction is done, you have agreed to purchase the car and own the car right now with the agreement that you're going to be making payments for 30 years. So at the time the transaction is done, yeah, you take the car home, yeah, you drive the car is yours, right? That's the difference, right? You go and move in the home is yours. Yes, you have a debt outstanding or you have a payment left to the seller, right? So at the time you sell the home or you sell the car, you buy a car and you sell the car, you're going to bear the full profit and loss. Yes, you still have to make the payments back to the bank, right? That remains. But any profit or loss, you're going to be the sole owner of. Okay? Is that clear before we go forward to diminishing partnerships? Yes, brother. So is it related to this? So I want to finish these two examples. If it's related to the selling of the home, then ask right now. Let me finish then. Otherwise. Yes, brother. Yes, brother. Yes. So but the first question is, I recommend all of you guys read this book, Introduction to Islamic Finance by Mufti Usmani. It is the best book on the topic, right? So throughout the world, there are three common financing tools in Islamic financing. Installment sale, the first one I discussed, diminishing partnership, and lease to own. Lease to own, we see it all the time here as well. Lease to own. You can also use it for home purchases as well. So those are the three common ones. Throughout the world, you'll see them being used. Okay, your second question, sorry, just repeat the second. Yes, so what happens there, brother? The model might be halal, but now any company is going to want to make sure that you can make your payments. So if you're now going to, if you take out one business, right, let's say you purchase a store, right, and you want commercial financing, you approach a Islamic financing company. So they want to make sure you can make your payments. They're going to do a credit check. They're going to look at your cash flows. They're going to ask for certain things, right? So even though the model is halal, they have the right, if you come to them and you say you want a third business or a fourth business, and clearly you can't make the payments, they're not going to allow it, not on the halal terms. They're going to do it based on finance. They're going to say you can't afford it. You can't make the payments. So that's something between you and them, right? If Islamic home financing company rejects you or they think you can't make the payments, that has nothing to do with halal haram. That has to do with payment ability and has to do with finances. And sometimes they'll do that. So the 10th business, they might reject you. So brother, again, what I'm here, my point here is, I'm coming from the point a majority of muftis state riba and interest is haram in America. And a Muslim should not buy a home on interest unless they're going to go homeless tomorrow and there's a danger that their family will suffer and they'll go homeless. Assuming you can't rent, assuming that no Islamic finance options exist. The point is, when halal options exist, you can't now go to this necessity and default ruling. So I haven't seen the people who say the first home is halal, this and that. I'm not a person who says that. Go ask those muftis, right? That's what they state. My job here is to point out what are the halal home financing options. And as I explained to the other brother, if the model is halal, then you can use it for one home, you can use it for two homes. The model is halal, it's halal for everyone, right? Now, whether it's smart investing or not, that's something else, right? If you're buying 10 homes and you can't afford it, that's something else. If the model is halal, right, my job is to give permission that the model can be used for whatever you want to use it for. Yeah. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, okay, so I got distracted. Okay. So let me go back to it, you guys. So diminishing partnership, what happens when you sell the home? This is the question. Diminishing partnership, what happens when you sell the home? Let me finish that, inshallah. Right? So this is a concern, right? The brother was saying, let's look at the contract. Let's make sure the contract is legitimate. Yes, if you're entering into a long-term 30-year contract, read through the terms. What happens when you sell the home? So when it comes to the diminishing partnership, we know that there's a partnership involved. This is different from the installment sale. So at the time you're going to sell the home, you might be 30% owner of the home, and they might be 70% owner of the home. So they have some rights and you have some rights. There's a partnership involved. You can't sell the home without their permission. Right? This is also Islamic requirement. And you had previously entered into agreement with them that you were going to buy their 70% share of the home. Now you decide to sell the home. So what they do is procedurally, they will state that if you wish to sell the home, the amount you have to buy us out first, and then you can sell the home. This is the way they do it procedurally. So in other words, they'll say, right, as of now, we are 70%, 30% owners of the home. Right? You want to sell the home, my share of 70% and my value will be this much. You agree to buy that share, and then you can sell the home. Whatever proceeds you get, you can use to pay off that home. Does everyone understand this, you guys? Yes. 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 So that's a risk. So understand what you're getting yourself into. At the same time, we know real estate prices have been going up for a long period of time. Yeah. What, brother? Yes. There is a difference. There is a difference. So. Yeah. Yeah. So Brother Anwar can confirm as well. So the issue here is there's remember there's two separate transactions taking place. One is the rent cost, and one is the 1% that you're buying back, right? So there's two different costs. So at the time, if you decide to sell the home, you're not going to be renting the home for the next 30 years. You're not going to be making those payments. What you have left is the percentage you're going to buy back. For example, the 70%, the percentage you're going to buy back. So Anwar, can you confirm you're going to pay back the total value of that 70% at that time that you sell the home? Is that correct? Yeah. So the rent payments will not be included, brother. The rent payments will not be included. So you agree at the time you want to sell the home, you agree to buy that you have now bought back the 70% at the original rate without the rent. You're going to pay back that amount. You agree to that. And then when you sell the home, now you're going to get an idea of what you're going to sell the home for. Right? Clearly, going in, you're going to understand my home today, 10 years afterwards, is worth this much. I'm going to enter into a contract. I know I have to pay the home financing company XYZ money. That's what's left. I know how much is left. Today, I can sell my home. You're going to know if you're going to get a profit or not. Right? You'll know that right entering into it. But like I said, this is the way they've structured it. No, the bank doesn't mind, brother. So the bank, their whole thing is they're getting their original amount back. So they're getting the 70%. The 70% without the rent, they're going to get the value of that 70%. Instead of making those, you're supposed to make those payments for 30 years, you're going to give them the whole amount right there. Right? So when you sell the home, for example, let's take that example. We don't know what's going to happen with the value of the home, but let's assume that 70%, that amount is $700,000. Right? So at the time you want to sell the home, you will go to the home finance company and you'll say, I wish to sell the home. They'll say your remaining payments are $700,000 and that amount is due effectively right now. So if you want permission to sell the home, this is what's due right now. So then you will step out, you will look at the market value of the home. Inshallah, the value of the home is 1 million. I don't know. Allah knows exactly what's going to be, or it might have gone down. So then whatever, you'll be allowed to go sell the home as the full owner. Whatever proceeds you get, you can use to pay them off. And if there's something left over, you keep it. And if it's nothing, if there's amount that's balanced, you have to pay them back. Okay? But this is a decision you make going in. Right? This is a decision you make going in. So any questions about that before we go forward? About how it works? Yes, brother. Yes.
So I'm making rent payment
Yes.
later.
Yes.
Whatever amount I paid, let's say
Yes.
right? So the original amount was $600,000. So I pay $30,000, but at the time of I say, hey, I want to buy the whole thing, right? So do I owe him still $600,000?
So no, so brother, there's two payments. So just to make sure, the rent, right? So at the time you purchase the home with the diminishing partnership, you have a payment schedule for the next 30 years, right? So you will know, right? At the time of the transaction, you will know how much in the 15th year, you'll know how much is going to be your rent payment, and you know how much your buyback is going to be as well. So this is known in advance, you guys. It's public knowledge. Yeah. Yes. So let me reiterate. At the time you sell the home, we're not going to look at, we will drop off all the rent payments for the next 30 years. Because if you're not going to live in the home, you're not going to pay rent. If you don't have the home, there's no, why would you pay rent? So all you look at, just to reiterate, all you look at is the buyback shares. And those shares, right, you know at the time, if I sell the home today, I know right now I have 30%, you have 70%, I can calculate how much is left to buy back. Yes, I should have paid that over 30 years, but today I'll know exactly how much that amount is. And that is the amount that I have to pay back to the company to buy back the remaining share, and then I can go and sell the home. Yeah, sorry, I just explained it different ways.
Question. In the diminishing, right? So you say you can't pay for 2-3 months. You can't pay the house. Is it exactly the same as the conventional, or does the normal help with repayment, or is it like
No. So generally, so you guys also look in the fine print. What happens in this situation of insolvency or bankruptcy, and you're not able to pay? Right? So before you enter a long-term agreement, know what you're getting yourself into. Generally, there are some terms there. At what point will the bank take over the home, or what steps will the bank take? So it's worth reading up in the fine print and finding out what are the terms. What I've seen with, depending on which company it is, many of them will want to work with you. Right? And especially we've seen in the last, 10 years ago, all these foreclosures, right? So they would rather work with you and kind of work out a debt relief or work out some settlement with you. And we've seen many of the Islamic banks have done that. But find out what their exact terms are. Some of them, in terms of the actual technical law, sometimes there are certain situations where they can foreclose the house. So find out what exactly those are. But generally, they will be willing to work with you. Because otherwise, going into foreclosure is a very difficult process for them as well. If you are not able to pay, they generally, you can sit down with them, and generally they will willing to work something out with you. But Anwar, can you add to that?
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah.
Is that true? Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So we always work with customers. If anybody lost job or something happened, we always work with the customer to help them out with a couple of months.
That is the difference. I just wanted everybody to know that. It's
Yeah.
not the same.
Yeah. Yeah, banks are pretty strict. Banks, yeah, they're ruthless. Yeah, if you yeah.
No, one more thing, for example, we need to point out that the contract, especially
No, no problem.
I think one more thing we need to point out that difference between regular financing and Islamic contracts. If house goes in foreclosure for any reason, whatever happened, the house goes in foreclosure, because you borrowed money from them, so bank can go after you for remaining balance if it's a remaining balance. So let's suppose you balance $500,000 and they sold the home, they got only $400,000. So now you owe them $100,000 because you borrowed money from them. So they have a right to go after you if they want to, right? In our contract, because of Musharaka contract, the diminishing Musharaka, property sold, we cannot go after you. Islamically, we're not allowed to do that because there is no borrowing lending. There's a basic difference here. So with foreclosure, we take the loss there, we cannot go after you. This is the main difference here. For home insurance. No, 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 we don't. We don't. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter. If house goes in foreclosure, simple, the house goes in foreclosure, I'll give an example again, and you balance is $500,000, right? And we repossessed the home, we sold the home, we got $400,000. We cannot go after you for remaining assets, remaining balance, you know? But conventional bank, they can go after you because you borrowed money from them. No, only California. California is not recourse state. Just keep in mind. Yeah, California non-recourse state. You already lose because we are already losing money also. But California is non-recourse state. But let's suppose you're buying in Indiana, but that then it plays a role there, right? Yeah. How do we go loss in business? We're making profit, make it loss also, you know.
You know, this diminishing partnership you were talking about, I have a question, and I may have misunderstood the vision, so please clarify to either one of you. You were talking about the value of the home. Let's say I said, hey, I cannot afford it, whatever reason I'm selling, right? So the Islamic bank takes a loss with me because I can't afford anymore, whatever. Is that what you're getting to? But so we're sharing, because I thought you said that, maybe I misunderstood, that if I owe the bank money, so if I'm going in loss or selling in loss, that's me. I have to pay the bank. I'm talking about diminishing partnership, because that partner shouldn't take the loss. Whatever I got, God for that, or no money actually, because I sold in loss, so I still owe that person whatever amount it is. Because you're saying something different, is that different?
No, no. Same thing, let me explain you. So when we go in diminishing musharaka partnership, our partnership is based on that you will occupy the property and you will pay us a rent until you buy our share. It's clear? This is a pretty simple example. So you will occupy the property, you will pay us a rent until you buy our share, regardless of price going higher or lower. Doesn't mean anything to us. That's, you know. Now, it's your choice. You sell for higher price, sell for lower price. You will pay us the balance what is left that time, whatever the balance left that time. It's clear? Yeah. Exactly. Yes. You can do that, yes. Yeah, so the other question is, can I buy share in lump sum instead of buying every month? Let's suppose he's making payment every month, $3,000, but after 5 years, he decide to put $100,000 towards buy the share, right? So you can do that. The next month bill when you receive, you will see profit will be reduced based on the new balance, right? And your number of years also going to be reduced because you made a lump sum payment. Yeah, exactly. You can make per month extra payment, you can make lump sum yearly payment, or whenever you want. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, that's not true. So that depends on customer. So, if customer qualifies for 3%, 5%, we can do it. Otherwise, with 15, 20, 30, depending on the customer, depending on the situation. But we can go 3% on, 5% on also. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's not true. Because see, the important thing to understand, calculation method is exactly same regardless Islamic, non-Islamic. Okay, I'll be very upfront with you. Calculation method is exactly same, which means your debt to income ratio calculation exactly same. So if you're going to bank, they're qualifying with the same amount, we're going to qualify the same amount because your income is same, everything is same, it's going to be same. So we can go lower down payment. It all depends, 3%, 5%, 10, whichever customer qualifies. No, Mufti Sahib explained almost more than 2 hours of the detail all this. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yes, it is part of contract. You can pay extra. You can make additional payment. Yeah. I'm sorry? Yeah, what's your question? Let me do this. Yes. Yeah.
A person is allowed to make early payments, right?
Yes.
But is UIF or guidance required to give that discount? That's another different. Early payments can be made by whenever you want and
Yeah.
however much you want.
You know,
In the contract, are they required? Is UIF or guidance required
No.
to give a discount?
no, we're not required. Islamically, contract is whatever we agreed, you have to pay us. But we allow you to pay earlier, and we give you discount for that.
And the point to do that is to avoid riba. The reason why if they put that in the contract, they agree to give you a discount, that would be riba, would make it haram.
Yeah.
It's understood. Like he's pointing out, it's understood.
No, but that transaction becomes riba if it's already, like you were giving.
It's not wording. So it's understood, but it's their prerogative. Like as I mentioned, it's their prerogative.
Oh.
No, sure.
You can use this one. So.
Yeah. So the point here that there is a fine line. I understand what you guys are saying. The fine line is in the contract it is not stipulated. If it is stipulated that the discount will be given, it makes it riba. The prerogative, so in the contract the way it's worded is the company has the right, they have the prerogative, they can give you a discount if they want. That's the way it's worded. And yes, when you approach them, that's what happens at that time, that's gonna they have the choice. So they're given the choice to ensure that it's not riba.
So there shouldn't be any understanding between the bank and the borrower about this, that we will give you the discount.
It's not stipulated. So the key is it cannot be stipulated explicitly in the contract. It cannot be stipulated.
Okay, if I ask you, hey, if I do this, I mean, if I pay early, would you give me?
Brother, look the difference. Brother, okay. Again, you guys can argue about this. Let me give you the example. Let me give you the example of this. Look, let me give you the example. This the same thing happened. This happened during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He taught us this, right? He taught us this. Okay. So, brother, understanding here. These are hadith in Riyadh al-Salihin, authentic hadith. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if I, right, I'm going to borrow $20 from him, right? He borrowed $20 from me. The sunnah is that when he pays me back, right? Rasulullah taught us, you give him extra as a gift. But you're not required to do so. Rasulullah encouraged to give back extra. The moment I stipulate I want $22 back, that makes it riba. But if he decides from his own side to give me back extra, this is sunnah. It's not even, it's sunnah, it's mentioned in hadith. So we have to understand the difference. There is a difference between stipulating something. If you stipulate it, it becomes part of the contract, it becomes riba. Right? As long as that right is there, that's the difference between riba and not being riba. Like I said, it's a gift. You look in the hadith, giving back extra is sunnah, it is something Rasulullah recommended. But it's up how much he wants to give back as a gift, whether he feels like giving back this time or not, that's up to him. So the same thing is happening in this contract. Same thing is happening in this contract. But it's not stipulated. Again, I pointed out it's not stipulated. And again, brother, if you don't like it, no problem, brother. Don't enter in the contract, brother. Right? So you guys are arguing at this point. But if you're not comfortable with it,
I'm saying it, and with a lot of respect
Yeah.
for Sheikh al-Nawzi, that you need to actually be calm, right? Because that's what Islam teaches. Can't be emotional because
I know, brother. But brother, your point. Look, sometimes people ask questions because they want to learn. Sometimes we're reaching a point where people are arguing, brother. We're reaching a point where people are arguing.
I'm not. Let me
Yeah.
give you an example, and then you
Yeah.
can understand my question.
So this is called no prepaid penalties, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's what it is. I mean, they say no prepaid
So I will just make one comment here.
Yeah.
The whole purpose of this program here today is to educate people. Okay. Not convince. Not convince. Okay. We're not trying to convince anybody here. Just to Mufti Sahib is here to educate how it works. That's all. Okay. Everybody has to make their own decision what is best for them. Yeah. Yeah. Everybody has to make their decision what's best for them or what they feel best. Yeah.
One sec. No. This is too much. First of all,
the other brother's asking.
this is 1 hour, and now it became 2. He's giving us his time. For us to keep talking, disrespectful. Wallahi it is. No. He's already mentioned in, other people cannot ask. Jazakallah. Alhamdulillah.
I walked in, I told him at home, I said, I don't want to go, man. So this
Alhamdulillah.
he did a job to make me understand.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.
Allah accept, inshallah. That's a goal. That's a goal.
Yeah. But the thing is, we got to go home. We got to go home. And people still have questions. Please, go ahead.
One thing I would say, any transaction questions, okay? Any transaction question you can ask me. After that, I'll be here. If you want to have a question,
Good.
I can answer any question about transaction because Mufti Sahib is here to Sharia perspective, to answer Sharia perspective. But transaction questions, anybody has any question, I'll be happy to answer any question after this. I have my cards there. I'll give my cards. You can call me anytime. You can email me anytime. Any question, no problem. Last question. Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes. Yes, true. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So, but so, but excellent point. Look, yeah. Yeah. So, but about 2014, Harvard Islamic Finance Seminar had a whole seminar just on takaful. 120 people submitted research papers. 40 were accepted for publication. I wrote a research paper on takaful, right? And even UIF right now, they're looking into takaful, right? We've talked the president. We've had discussions. So there's a need for it. So, but the current situation, to answer what's going on in the current situation, I said Islamic finance is imperfect, right? And every single Islamic finance company in America right now requires home insurance. And of course, conventional loans, conventional mortgages are requiring home insurance as well. What Mufti al-Qismani wrote, this fatwa is there in the white pages of guidance, right? So what he wrote is pretty much this. He said, when there is a legitimate Sharia compliant home insurance option, we would require the customer to take that. Right now in America, it does not exist. Yeah. So brother, I can tell you, when I went to Harvard for the seminar, I told everyone that all you people are here right now, let's work towards making a company for takaful. There's takaful companies in Pakistan, in South Africa, in Malaysia, Indonesia, Middle East. We don't have any legitimate ones in America. So inshallah, hopefully someone hears this and gets inspired. I've been waiting 10 years. But I have the whole framework for setting up a company. If tomorrow someone comes to me and says, I want to set up a company, I have the framework, I have the research ready, I'm waiting too, brother. If you're waiting, I'm waiting too, brother. So last comment I'm going to make, the UIF, besides home financing, we also do commercial financing, we do masjid financing, Islamic centers. We also started the vehicle financing, which is not in California yet. Inshallah, we'll start in California. We're doing started the construction financing. It's not in California yet. Inshallah,
new homes, yeah, new homes.
New homes, yeah, new construction financing. We recently started time deposit account, which basically you, as a community, you can invest money with us, and we can invest that money real estate. So you can make a profit, we can make a profit. Yeah. So we have multiple different programs we have right now. We are the only company which is offering multiple different programs. So like as I mentioned, vehicle financing, construction financing, time deposit accounts, commercial financing, and home financing. Just last comment, yeah.
Sure.
Okay, and I'll give my cards to everybody. If any question, you can call me anytime.
Jazakumullah khair, guys, everybody for staying this long. And we'd like to thank Mufti Saab and Brother Anwar for giving their time. If you guys still have questions, you can get their contacts, inshallah. We'd like to thank you. Barakallah fiqh. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum.